Welcome to our final instalment of mental fitness resources for our church. I thought I would introduce us today because John always likes the sound of his own voice and always introduces us. So I'm Tanya and this is John, and he is one of the leaders of Hope Church.
Yes.
So what we're going to be talking about today is fear, strengths and purpose. So we're going to start with fear, and I feel like I should be a little bit more serious when we talk about fear, because I know that a lot of people are really crippled with fear at the moment during the pandemic. It's what I do with my job. I work with a lot of people who just can't understand what's happening and are afraid. So that's why we're talking about fear. And you're looking at me like, yes?
Yes. I haven't had a chance to speak yet, that's why.
Oh, go on then.
No, please carry on. I'm only joking.
So, okay, look, one of the things about fear is fear can be a good thing if you use it in the right way. So we all learn fear from a very young age when we learn to cross the road. So our parents would stop us and say, look both ways before you cross the road. And because if you don't look both ways before you cross the road, you might get run over. So there's the first instalment of fear. And it stops us from doing stupid things. When you know that you're afraid of something, you're more likely to be prepared. So I don't like doing public speaking. Speaking in front of crowds really, really scares me. So rather than allow it to debilitate me and prevent me from giving people the opportunity to hear from me, I prepare. So that's when being fearful or afraid of something can be a good thing. But if you allow it to control you and manage your emotions, then it can prevent you. So, for instance, you're more likely to not want to do something that could benefit you because you're afraid. And what? Go on.
Nothing.
Go on.
Well, no, but that is the point, isn't it? And that's one of the things we talked about, is this case of fear can stop you fulfilling your potential. Fear can cripple you, and fear can stop you living completely, can't it?
Yeah, it can. But you give me a context of how it can stop.
We one of the things we said about, for instance, I've said before, I'm actually naturally quite shy, really, and the idea of phoning people actually scares me. I don't know why. I think maybe it's from childhood, and it scares me. I don't know, what am I going to say and stuff. Especially, I'm going to have a conversation. And during this period of lockdown, the first period, I've spent an awful lot of time phoning many people up, phoning around, and I've had to prepare for that. And so that's the thing is, but if I hadn't have done, I could have actually just gone into myself, decided not to phone any of you, not to phone people up, not to engage in that. But then I wouldn't be fulfilling my potential, would I? Because I'd be allowing fear to control who I was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Another thing about fear is when people presume that they're okay emotionally and mentally, and what it is it's the fear of exploring our own emotions and our own thoughts, because they're scared of what might come up and what might surface. And I see that a lot as well. And that, when we talked about last week with the Kubler-Ross model, is the denial. You're denying something about what's happening. So you're denying your own emotions and your own thoughts because you're afraid.
So fear can keep us from living. It can keep us from being like emotionally intelligent David.
Mm-hmm. See what you did there?
No, got it this week. It can stop us. So, I mean, the great thing there, one of the things we notice is, for instance, Moses had a stutter. And Moses saw that as maybe a reason why he couldn't go and lead the people, the Israelites, out of Egypt. But God saw his potential. God saw his leadership skills. God saw what his strengths were. And that, I think, is where we're leading right now, seamlessly.
Oh, I see what you did there. That's good. So we all have character strengths, and there's a difference between having a personality and a character. So personality can change, it can evolve, and it can adapt, but your character sticks. but you can cultivate certain character strengths that we have. So my top character strengths are creativity, love of learning, and spirituality. So when
Spirituality, number one.
did you do it?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't remember if you did. And there are tests that you can do called the VIA Strengths Test.
What does VIA stand
I
for?
was just going to say
Oh, okay.
Values in Action. And so you can take the test.
And we're going to make one available at the end of this, aren't we?
Yeah, I can give you a link for the one that I give my clients. So and it's free, and you can just answer the questions, and it will tell you what your top strengths are. So totally lost my train of thought there.
So how does that help us
knowing our strengths?
Yes.
So I can't remember my lower strengths, so the ones that come lower down on the score. I think it might be something like I don't know, bravery. I can't remember. Anyway, right. So if I felt it might be bravery, because I sometimes I'm afraid, and that can prevent me from doing things that's good for me. So if I wanted to dial it up a bit or leverage it up, then I could do certain things that would take me out of my comfort zone to cultivate my character strength of bravery. So push it up a little bit more.
So creativity.
Yeah.
For me. So I would need to, if I wanted, I would, try to put myself in a position to be, actually try painting something.
Yes. So what I was going to say is, if I'm feeling a little bit low on par or a little bit down or whatever, then I notice that I haven't been creative, then I will tap into that strength of mine and do something creative. Or because I love learning, I would research something, and that makes me feel good about myself, and it increases my own happiness levels. So
for instance, as me being Mr. Spiritual, the more time obviously I am being spiritual, it builds me up. Of course, I'm amazing because of that.
Totally amazing.
I know.
But so your strengths, you can leverage them or dial them down, because some strengths could work against you as well. So you need work out what those strengths are and then dial them down. But knowing what your strengths are, your top signature strengths, can enhance your happiness and make you feel good about yourself.
And also it helps you then combat fear.
Yeah. Because you're working towards cultivating your own character traits.
Okay, and that's important. That character traits is about calling out what's there. It goes back to like with Jesus when he spoke to who was then Simon, and he said, Simon, and I call you Peter. And Simon sort of meant sort of the wavery reed, but Peter was the rock, and Jesus was calling that out. And that's what we're seeking to do, isn't it? Is to call out that which God knows is in there, so that we can grow, we can get past fear, and be, who he made us to be. And it goes back to that with Jeremiah 29:11. He's got plans for you. He's got plans for me. Everyone has a purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And a lot of the time we can go through our life wondering, what is my purpose? Why am I here? That is a question I get asked a lot. What's the point in me? What's the point in me being here? So that's why we work in the strengths, and what is the fear that's holding them back from stepping into their potential or their purpose.
That's right. And really that actually just leads us on to our last lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've done the writing this week.
Well, I'm not going to be able to read it then.
Okay, but this I know these were your questions, and we're going to do this one first, and it's got next week. Tanya's going to explain this a little bit more. So, when you gave your life to Jesus, what was the first thing you wanted to do? What do you mean by that, Tanya?
Well, I think when one of the first things I wanted to do when I became a Christian was I wanted everybody to know how it felt. I wanted everyone to experience what I had just experienced myself. So I got this energy, but the fear was holding me back because, I grew up around boring Christians. I didn't grow up around them. all the Christians I knew growing up were boring and judgmental. So suddenly I was like conflicting in my mind because I wanted everybody to experience it. I wanted everyone to have that freedom and that peace and that love that I was experiencing, which meant I had to tell people about my faith. But then I used to think that when I did like tell someone, my first thought was, please still like me, please still like me. I was like, please still like me. But I prayed about it and asked God to give me the strength to be able to be more brave and to verbalise and vocalise how it felt, what I had just experienced with Jesus. So a way that you could, maybe you didn't have anything actually, I don't know, like everyone has something, but if there was nothing holding you back, is that another question? I just feel like that is.
It is. If there was nothing stopping you.
Yeah, if there was. Okay, so that question is, I can't read your handwriting. When you gave your life to Jesus, what was the first thing you wanted to do?
She read my handwriting.
Okay, so there's that.
And then leads on to,
if there was nothing stopping you, what would you do tomorrow? So what is it? If there was nothing stopping you, if money wasn't a problem, if you didn't worry about what your friends or your family thought of you or said about you, if there was none of that, what would you do tomorrow?
Wow. Biggie. So, these are leading on to know, what are you afraid of? Because I think it's this point as well of finding what we're afraid of. We could also be finding the thing that's holding us back.
And that also comes into, I'm okay, I'm not fearful, there's nothing wrong. I mean, come on. Like, fear is a primary emotion, yeah?
It's calling you out.
It's a primary emotion. We need to have fear because it stops us doing stupid things, right? So we all have fear. Everybody has something that we are afraid of.
You've been told. And this is the last question, is name your top 3 strengths. Now, obviously, we may not have done a VIA, but you may be aware of what 3 things in your life that you are really strong at, what you're really good at, and what are they?
So, an example, because my top 5 strengths, I've just told you my top 3. So the other 2 of my strengths are forgiveness and kindness. Surprisingly,
I'm amazed.
I'm quite kind. And sometimes I think I say what I think a bit too much and people don't like that and it hurts their feelings, but I'm doing it out of kindness because I want people to grow. And if you're in denial and pretending that, you're a certain way, that comes back to the whole shadow, then you're not going to step into your potential. So in a way, I'm kind of being kind by saying, this is the problem and this is what I think that's going on for you right now. That is a strength of mine.
Okay, so summarising our last whole time together, journaling, looking after yourself, look at your social network. It's great. Being self-aware, asking the Holy Spirit to help you with that, spending time with that, getting in touch with your emotions, being aware of what you're going through. Remember the Kubler-Ross cycle model, whatever we wanted to call it. And then lastly, we need to look, what are we afraid of? What are we afraid of? And then, is that stopping us from moving forward? What are our strengths? What can we build up to help us overcome our fears? What things maybe do we need to tone down? But what are the things we need to come over? And also it's looking at, as Tanya said there, about what was the first thing that Jesus spoke into your life? Because really this is the thing we're aiming for here. It's purpose. Purpose. The most purposeful people on the planet are the most mentally healthy. As to say about David was a man of purpose. We've used him all the way through. Yes, he knew where he was heading. And he was not mentally healthy. He still said it wrong after these weeks. Emotionally intelligent. Got it. So this is the thing. So that is where we're aiming. We're aiming for the physical things we can do to keep ourselves healthy. We're aiming about being self-aware, and we're aiming to look to our strengths and our fears so that we can step into our God-given purpose. And God has a purpose for us all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, thanks for your time.
Yes. Thank you for your time. I'm going to sign off now.
You can sign off.
Thank you for watching, listening, and all your feedback. Really appreciate it, and we hope that you enjoyed it.
Goodbye.
Bye.